approach, one that's actually earned them incredible industry recognition with the Forrester Customer Obsessed Enterprise Award earlier this year, 2025. That conversation will be followed by live Q&A with our speakers. I'm really excited about the content we've prepared for you all today. It's about moving beyond simply gathering insights and really getting into taking action that drives both business and customer success. And we're going to talk a lot about how to shift from reactive to proactive experience management, which happens to be a topic I've been spending a lot of time on recently. But first, some logistics. Throughout the webinar, we're going to ask some questions in the chat, and you'll see us share some polls to get some insights to the challenges you all in the audience have been facing within your businesses. You can also feel free to ask questions of myself and the panelists in the Q&A box to the right. We'll revisit them and try and integrate those and the poll responses as well during our live Q&A. All right, let's get started. Stephanie, Deepta, I'd love for you to both introduce yourselves.
Thanks, Judy. Happy to. Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Just a little about me. I've spent over 30 years in the financial services industry, and the majority of my career has been around driving transformation and harnessing the power of people, process, and technology to really elevate the client experience. In fact, I think I've been a champion of CX long before CX was even an acronym or a business discipline. Deepta?
Thanks, Steph. Judy, it's a pleasure to be here today. My path is a little bit different from Steph's. I've spent my whole career immersed in data. I spent the first 10 years of my career in consumer insights, where I developed products and helped businesses understand who their customers were, where to find them, and how to best reach them. And ever since then, I have been immersed in CX from a banking perspective. And so I'm really excited to be here and talk to you about the journey that CIBC's been on.
Great. Thank you, ladies. Well, at CIBC, you have indeed been on quite the journey, really growing and evolving how you all think about customer at the bank significantly. Would love to dive in a little more about how you defined your journey and how you all think about it.
We're excited to share the insights from our CX maturity journey. And for us, it really did begin with purpose. You know, as a financial services institution, it's really important that we're there for our clients in those moments that matter most. And understanding that every client has a unique need, whether it's saving for their first home or planning for retirement. So delivering on this means first uncovering what matters most, and then delivering on those moments, which becomes pivotal not only to our clients' success, but our own. And when done right, I think can be a key differentiator. And so that's where our maturity journey began.
Let's talk next a little bit about the steps involved in bringing this purpose to life and putting client ambitions at the center.
That's great. And that's exactly what we want to do today. We want to talk through the 5 building blocks that helped us bring this purpose to life. This was a multi-tiered initiative that happened over several years. We're an enterprise CX team, but it only happened because we collaborated across the organization to deliver on these building blocks, with support and activation across all of our partners. This toolkit today will begin with talking about how we established a strong CX culture and embedding that across the DNA or of the fabric of our organization. Next, we're going to cover how we focused our efforts and how did we go about enabling client-centric decisioning in order to drive that personalization. Next, we'll talk about how we built influence. And this is about earning that seat and voice at the table to help impact meaningful change. We'll give you a glimpse into how we establish some of our governance and prioritization practices, and then we'll close with our approach for continuous improvement.
Such a great overview, and I know we're going to keep digging into each one of these 5 building blocks in more detail. We're going to, of course, start with culture. A client-centric culture and the behaviors that support it go hand in hand. And as we all know, culture sets the tone, but it's the day-to-day behaviors that bring it to life. And ultimately, together, those shape our client experience.
Introducing and embedding a client-centric culture within our DNA was crucial to our success. Culture isn't just something that you declare and expect it to stick. It takes many years, and our journey started back in 2018 with our CEO, who set a bold ambition for CIBC to become a modern bank with strong client focus. His next step was to look at and turn to our branding team for a rebranding of our entire organization. That did mean a new logo for us, but it also meant a new tagline, ambitions made real. Now that's client centricity. Our CEO is our biggest champion. And I can tell you that when he speaks, whether internally or externally, it's pretty rare that CX is not mentioned in the first few sentences. Having a champion like that at the top of our organization, it sets such a powerful message and such a powerful tone for us as an organization. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about our CX strategy. So at the top of our house, our organization has goals firmly rooted in client centricity, and we build our CX strategy aligned to these goals. This roadmap didn't just chart where we wanted to go, it assured that we had alignment at all levels and a clear way forward. Next, I'll touch on our Listen, Learn, Act model. It started with a simple operating model to guide our day-to-day operations. This allowed us to listen to our clients, learn what they were saying, and act to improve their experiences. Today, we have mature listening posts across our organization. We have advanced analytics capabilities, and we co-deliver actions with our line of business partners to drive sustainable impact and meaningful results. We've strategically built our CX team to align to each line of business across the organization. This allows for a framework that aligns with our clients' expectations and to always be professional, radically simple, and genuinely caring for our clients. We developed and introduced a CX index. It's got over 20 metrics to measure performance across the organization. This includes everything from operational metrics to industry benchmarks and more to provide a clear picture of the impact for all our employees from frontline to executives. This shared measurement approach ensures all working on and measuring the things that matter and rewarding people for delivering results with our common goals in mind. Last but not least, communication is the key to the success of any rollout of any new framework across an organization. It's education, it's training, it's follow-ups, and it's building an understanding across an organization, building a sense of excitement and togetherness to ensure consistent adoption. Collaboration across the enterprise has really been key for us. Now, we have many touch points across the organization throughout the year. Some are daily, some are weekly, monthly, quarterly, and we present at all levels. And so the last time we went to present to some of our board members, we didn't go it alone. We actually took some power users of our Medallia platform who are senior frontline executives who use this platform daily. So in taking a power user, it really brought to life the tools that we use on a daily basis and showed the board members exactly how the insights actually drive action at the front line. And that was a really powerful way to communicate to our top executives really the value of the tools that we use on a daily basis. We're really proud of where we've come from, but there's always more to do. After all, CX isn't a destination. It's a journey that requires focused efforts.
Deepta, I love that tip about bringing a power user to the board. Amazing, powerful advice there. Let's pivot next and talk a little bit more about focused efforts and prioritizations. I'd love to hear specifically about how you cut through the noise of all the data, right, that we all know exist, and really get to the heart of what's in the insights to drive action.
You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what it was all about. So this second important pillar is around focusing our efforts to deliver on our client-centered goals across the organization. We started by working in partnership with Medallia. We wanted to assess our CX maturity. Where were we now? How could we optimize our strengths, our capabilities, and more importantly, ready ourselves to leverage future capabilities and the next evolution of Gen AI? And so with those insights in hand, our next challenge was, how do we align and activate across the enterprise to deliver these meaningful, seamless experiences in those moments that matter most, that we've talked about are so important to our clients, which is really what we mean by personalization. It means you know me as an individual. It means you understand my life stage, where I'm at, what's important to me. And then from that, you're delivering the right experience at the right time and through the right channel. And you can only do that with a true model of client-centric, data-driven decisioning to enable that. So that was our North Star. Working backwards from there, we went through 3 key stages to arrive at our end goal. In the first stage, we needed to ensure that we were positioned, that we were actually delivering on our brand promise, and that our client experiences were matching our clients' expectations. So we began by grounding across the enterprise on 3 shared CX priorities to bring our purpose to life. We interlocked our strategies with all of our line of business partners, making sure that CX priorities were baked into business goals and that we were prioritizing initiatives to deliver on that. We started with the mantra of make it easy to bank with us. You'd think that's table stakes, right? That's so obvious, but it is very complex to do, dealing with legacy systems and MVPs. It's very challenging. So we really use that as a lens in everything that we do. Secondly, it's around seamless digital experiences. This is in the spirit of digital first, but not digital only. We still have contact centers. We still have many banking centers. And in the end, seamless experiences is trying to get to a parity that no matter which channel you're using, you're getting the same type of client experience. Third, and probably most important, is deepening relationships. It builds that emotional loyalty. It creates those forever clients, and it drives client lifetime value, which is so critically important. Our second stage was to ensure that we had a really well-orchestrated listen, learn, and act CX operating model. Deepta talk to you about, we had initiated that as a really great construct. But was it ready for modern times? Was it going to give us what we needed? And so we realized we needed to move listen from just a listening team to an intelligence team. This intelligence team now starts with a business problem and then decides what to build in terms of listening and measuring our client experiences at various touch points. We took our learning practice and we evolved it from just reacting to data to producing decision-ready insights. And again, here's where we worked with Medallia and using their advanced text analytics capabilities to triangulate the insights and unlock the so what from unstructured data. And our ACT pillar, well, that evolved into a robust human-centered design practice where we have experts end-to-end designers that help illustrate how to drive CX improvements across the organization. Together, this formed a really strong blueprint by which to develop our third stage of maturity. In year 1 of this third stage, we really wanted to create a client sentiment data hub. We had a lot of client transactional data and behavioral data, but sentiment data really helps round out as that, third leg in the bench, so to speak. Augmenting our data set beyond surveys was critically important. So this data hub meant ingesting other signals. It meant ingesting complaints, calls from our contact center, operational data, even external insights as to where we're leading and lagging our competitors. With that, we had a really robust data set and repository from which we could triangulate insights. But how do you leverage that if your systems aren't connected? And so year 2, what was critically important there is integrating our Medallia platform with other strategic solutions. So think our frontline CRM tools, marketing data lakes, and the cloud. This way we could actually leverage the data that we were extracting to be able to act on it, which is what year 3 is all about. It's leveraging that data the connected systems, and hydrating all of the broader data sets across the organization to embed client sentiment and drive that client-centric decisioning. It's about democratizing that at the right time. Those contextualized insights that are relevant and as near real time as possible to truly improve our decisions, our interactions. By doing this, it really transformed how people saw CX. No longer are we just a cost center or a survey shop, but rather we're a value center. We're sharing insights that support targeted leads, even suppression tactics, how to improve retention, and how to drive proactive engagement with the right clients. We're really helping to inform those next best actions or next best experience. That's what we think bespoke, true surgical personalization comes from. It's from acting on what you know about your clients in the most timely and meaningful way in those moments that matter most.
All right, Stephanie, I'd love to go back to that maturity assessment. Most companies certainly have CX listening programs in place today, but many remain focused on that find and fix type of activity. And to a certain extent, this is always going to play some role, of course. But innovating through CX requires switching gears, which is what you all have done, from being reactive, becoming proactive, and influencing future business decisions. Instead of always looking in the rearview mirror, right? We're understanding what the road ahead looks like. So next up, let's talk about building influence. And a little side quest story here. Prior to joining Medallia, when I was leading CX efforts at the bank myself, I often described my job as one of influence. Perhaps you both feel the same. That's what I was there to do, help my fellow business leaders make decisions informed by customer data. And it can feel like a lot of work, right? Like it's a lot of heavy lifting, especially if you haven't taken the time to build a trusting partnership with your fellow business leaders. So let's talk a little bit about how you all have made sure those trusting partnerships are in place at CIBC and how you've gone about ensuring that the enterprise has the right internal relationships in collaboration to make sure that those CX insights are truly acted on.
So I'm going to start with partner relationships. Building influence across the organization is hard to accomplish, and realized importance of positioning ourselves as an enterprise CX team in service of our line of business partners and delivering on business goals and understanding really what's important to them was important to us. And this really started with education and ensuring that our leaders understood their contributions to CX. And today, when we have a new executive onboarded, we provide them with a CX 101 to help ground their understanding and our approach as an organization. What does CX mean within CIBC? We also began with a regular cadence with each line of business partner to really review the CX results and collaborate on solutions. Today, we have over 120 touch points with lines of business throughout the year, whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly. This really helps to ground us and optimize the awareness of CX throughout the organization. Next up is interlog strategy. Remember our 3 CX priorities: make it easy to bank with us, improve digital client journeys, and deepen client relationships that Steph talked about. Our annual planning involves understanding our partners' strategies and looking for points of intersection. We look for synergies and gaps and lock our strategies together. This collaboration really helps us to leverage the voice of client insights and capabilities to support our partners in delivering on their business goals while keeping the client at the center of all of our decisions. Doing this across all of our lines of business is how we've fostered relationships to drive accountability. Next up is our CX leadership forums. We established quarterly CX leadership forums, which include over 30 senior executives across the bank who play a significant role in influencing customer experience. We took our time to establish strong executive engagement and continually tweak this forum to ensure that it's relevant and meaningful and drives maximum impact. This forum also helps hold our leaders accountable. They are really responsible for not only understanding, but also explaining their CX performance. And we use this forum to collaborate on actions to manage headwinds and tailwinds. Finally, credibility and trust. Over time, we have built strong CX team with deep knowledge, skills, and experience to act as advisors on client insights and provide a center of excellence for our partner teams. We have democratized voice of the client insights using the Medallia software and platform to help them identify gaps, seize opportunities, and measure improvements. Through these initiatives, we build trust and credibility that's needed to be seen as trusted advisors. This has earned us a seat at the table and the right to influence change that drives impact and results.
Amazing, Deepta. I particularly loved what you were sharing about the CX leadership forums, especially the idea of business leaders being accountable and responsible for explaining their results and what they intend to do about it. That's the way to build culture, right? That's the way to do all of this. So moving on, it's clear you all have built robust governance and prioritization models at CIBC. Stephanie, would you like to tell us how you all made this happen?
As you'd expect, building influence, although it was a tremendous amount of work, really was a key enabler for us. And without it, I don't think we could have accomplished this next building block, which was to build some robust governance and prioritization processes, which frankly are easier to describe than accomplish. But let me start at the beginning. I think on the left-hand side of the slide here, we can all relate. Earlier on, CX really only got engaged once friction was identified. We reacted more to the pain points or the systemic issues that were identified, and it was far too late within the client lifecycle to be able to really affect any change. And although governance is daunting and not very sexy, it's absolutely essential to ensure that CX gets embedded into the key processes and even the fabric of our organizational ways of working. And so some years ago, we worked across the organization, leveraging the relationships we had built to design this proactive approach. That's because we had earned that seat and voice at the table that Deepta just talked about. And so we worked synergistically with our partners in finance and even the enterprise project management office, and we designed CX as a mandatory gate in our enterprise delivery framework. And we now have 4 clear processes that ensure we're there at the very start, making sure our client is at the center of everything that we do. It starts with the client experience assessment. No capital project will get any funding if this step doesn't happen at the very start. This involves CX playing a role in evaluating the entire initiative, whether it's a new product, a new service, anything that's client-facing. And we're the guardians. We're there to make sure we're amplifying the voice of the client and delivering on what the clients expect from us. That's a commitment to CX excellence. We also have an embedded CX risk assessment. Here, which we've aligned with the enterprise risk management framework, we're measuring the client impact, the client risk, the overall severity. We even grade them high, medium, and low, and we build mitigation plans ahead of launch for each one of these. It's a very robust practice that's done across the enterprise. We've also really advanced our human-centered design practice. We're now co-creating journeys with our process optimization teams, our service design teams, even HR. We want to make sure that we've got that 360 view of the client's experience and of the employee's experience. We know with great EX comes great CX, so it's critically important to see how all of this plays together. And not only that, we want to make sure we're not only designing for today, but also for tomorrow. The last is operational readiness. This involves having formal dress rehearsals. We bring together a cross-functional group of over 30 executives to stress test the client experience. We go through a very rigorous process, making sure that we fully understand the entire flow that the client's going to go through. and that we're operationally ready. We look at the training, the communication, the capacity plans. Again, another very robust process that's conducted for all of those major client-facing initiatives. Good governance isn't just important, it's really essential. It builds that transparency and visibility across the organization. It builds consistency and proactiveness. Everybody across the org knows what's coming, has had a voice to be able to shape those experiences for the client. And by doing so, we're ensuring that we're meeting our evolving client expectations.
Thanks, Stephanie. So much good stuff in there. And to me, this is really where we see the proactive CX approach shining through. And I believe that's all about really two components that you spoke to both of them. Number one, the ability to anticipate and address customer needs before they even realize they may have them. And you all are doing that with things like your dress rehearsals, making sure you're ready, etc. And then second of all, taking initiative, right, to provide solutions, support, avoid additional servicing needs or bumps along the way. No need to call again, and making sure that we're able to fully resolve the issue on behalf of our customers and members. And you really spoke to both of those there. This is all amazing, but curious what's next and how does it look to, how are you all thinking about continuously evolving and future-proofing your CX practices?
So, as we continue to mature our CX capabilities, we plan to invest across 3 dimensions: people, process, and technology. And I know Steph and I are both big fans of this framework. We do hire for specific skill sets. So we have researchers, analysts, designers, and strategy and strategic thinkers. It's a large breadth of expertise that we have across the team. And we all come with very diverse backgrounds as well. So we've got branch managers as well as PhDs and management consultants and MBAs. Annually, we invest in all of our people, both collectively and on individual learning plans. And so on those collective fronts, we have done training like storytelling, change management, and design practices to maintain our status with our partners as CX advisors and experts. Now, we can have all the right people, but you also need the right processes in place in order for things to continuously improve. And Steph talked quite a bit about our rigorous governance of funded projects. That seat at the table to ensure that client experience is optimized is key to our team's collective success. We have matured our design practice, ensuring that we proactively design end-to-end customer experience that meets client expectations. Our governance practices really ensure that CX is integrated into the processes, and we proactively work with our line of business partners to design client-centric products and services over time, which brings us now to technology. It's ever evolving, as we all know, and ever improving our ability to really show up for our line of business partners with the latest and greatest, whether it's insights or metrics that can help drive better business decisions. What I would say too, while we're still looking forward, as we all are, to the newest technology that's around the corner, my team is also really interested in how we maximize the utility of the tools that we already have at hand. And so maximizing the utility of some of those features and functionalities today, while also looking to the future, is really how we're able to maximize our ability to have that continuous improvement. It's people, process, and technology together.
I totally agree. And as we look to wrap up the CIBC story here, I do want to take a quick moment and share our contact information. If anybody's looking to stay in touch or learn more, please feel free to reach out to us through LinkedIn. Then as we transition into Q&A, I do want to share a quick invitation to please join us at Medallia Experience 26. It'll be happening this February in Las Vegas. Like today's conversation, Experience isn't necessarily just another conference. It's not talk about transformation. It's about finally being able to make it happen. You'll get hands-on expert guidance, workshops, real-life examples, such as what you've heard here from CIBC, and what modern CX looks like in practice. If you're ready to move beyond outdated models and really build CX programs that deliver true business value, then Experience 26 was built for you. And as we thank you for sharing CX Day with us today, you can use code CXLOVE, CXLOVE, this week, October 6th through October 10th, for 50% off a full price ticket. That's the lowest discount we'll ever offer, so make sure and take advantage. Visit us at medallia.com/experience to learn more, and I hope to see you there. All right, thanks again to CIBC for all of their insights. Now we'll head to live Q&A with our panelists. No action needed from you all. The platform will take care of it. See you live in a moment.
Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to the live portion of the webinar today. I hope you enjoyed this segment learning all about CIBC's fantastic program and how they've really been driving their CX evolution to become more proactive in influencing business decisions. Thrilled that you all are here. Happy to and excited to dive into the Q&A portion. We've got some really great questions lined up. So let's go ahead and get started. So Stephanie, I'd love to start with this first question around how do you get started? This has been an incredible undertaking, right? And a vast, big, significant amount of work. What's one piece of advice you would give the audience that's looking to get started in a journey like this?
Yeah, thanks, Judy. Let me start with a practical piece of advice. And I think this is good regardless of the stage of the CX maturity plan that you're on. Don't wait for perfection. Think progress over perfection. Start anywhere you can make an impact. Leverage partnerships and relationships you've already built across the enterprise to try to get those small wins. Obviously, still important to foster new partnerships and becoming that trusted partner across the enterprise, which we've found often starts by parking your ego. So by doing that and really being open to sharing data and insights, people want to listen. And when you speak that language of business value and connecting your work to strategic outcomes, that's where influence really starts.
Yeah, I love that. That's fantastic advice. Very good. So moving on, we've got a question here for a little more detail about the forums, the CX forums that you all mentioned during the recording.
Sure. So I'll take that one. Judy, I want to start by saying with all of our CX endeavors and everything we've shared with you today, we are on a journey. So was the first meeting perfect? Probably not. Is it still perfect? Probably not. And so kind of alluding back to what Stephanie just said about progress over perfection, start with a meeting, get the right executives in the room, right? And obviously we're doing it online because our executives are all across the country. But start with the executives, have an agenda that's going to be engaging for those executives. And really, we change the agenda every single time. Sometimes we want to feature a new functionality that's we're going to start rolling out. Sometimes we're talking about our results, and the executives all take a turn in answering to or presenting their results. And it just goes from there. And honestly, it is progress over perfection, and we are on that journey.
I love it, Deepta. That's fantastic. We saw in one of the polls that governance and prioritization can be one of the biggest challenges, right? And I think you're absolutely right with that motto of progress over progression. And another thing that I see really work well when it comes to CX forums is making sure the rest of the employee base knows they happen, right? Communicate
That's
and
it.
talk about and create that awareness that these discussions are happening, that the executives are engaged and bought in and making prioritization and investment decisions along the way. Fantastic. All right, the next question I've got for us, let's move to something about the data hub. Were you all able to use the data hub to predict where customers are falling off or struggling in their journey?
That is a great question. And I would say we're still on our journey. So the first step was bringing all of the data together and then looking across to really interpret what is it telling us? What's the so what of the data? And that was really to understand the current state of the client sentiment, their perception of our brand and of us as an organization. Now we're using that to embed in models so that we can move to a more mature predictive interpretation. So again, Medallia have been great thought partners with us along the way with their capabilities to help predict things like potential churn. And again, sharing that across the enterprise is critically important. There's so much data everywhere, transactional, behavioral. We really add that icing on the cake with the sentiment layer, which is critically important and rounds out all of the data. But with any predictive models, they're iterative and you continuously learn as the technology and the data becomes richer, we'll only get better at it.
Yeah, Stephanie, I love that point. Thank you so much for sharing that background. I believe this is where we'll see customer expectations evolve. There's no doubt that today in banking across other industries as well, our customers are looking for extremely personalized experiences. It's why customer ambitions is so important to the heart of what you all do. But I think we're headed towards a place where personalizing experiences and knowing what I've done in the past is not going to be good enough, right? It's that anticipation of what's to come and what'll help me in the future that I think will be the big differentiator and ultimately become the new standard for what customers expect from us. So, love that you all are thinking about that and headed in that direction. That's amazing. All right, then we've got a couple of questions here about CX 101. You all talked about that as far as helping to build the customer centric culture, content, education, training. I think the audience would love to hear a little more about what exactly did you include?
Sure. And in fact, Stephanie and I were in a presentation yesterday with two of our newest frontline executives, and it's pretty standard. So we have a number of slides that we have as sort of our core CX 101, or we call it our CX Roadshow deck. And it is pretty basic. We talk about who we are as a team, what our responsibilities are. So it's sort of an introduction to these new executives. We walk them through sort of our strategic alignment. A lot of the things actually that we talked about today, our strategic alignment to the corporate goals. We talk about what CX means to CIBC, right? And really place that context for them, especially as new executives who might be new to the organization. It really helps ground everyone and it helps keep us on the same page. So we'll talk about sort of where we've been, just like we did today, and also where we're headed. We talk a little bit also about if it's a specific line of business and we already have some metrics available to share with them that is so specific to their role, we'll share that out as well to help, again, ground them in this is why it's important for you. And I think that is probably the most important thing to get across is why does this new executive need to care about CX in an organization that is so customer centric?
Yeah, I that's fantastic advice. I really love all that there. That's some really good takeaways. I think if I was to add perhaps one thing or something that I've seen work really well too, in addition to all you mentioned, um, knowing what business problems we're trying to solve and problems
Yes.
plural, right? Because we can be trying to solve multiple problems, but making sure we're connecting the dots between the brand promise, how we deliver the brand promise, maybe where we see some pain points or known opportunities to improve, and then how we connect our program so everybody kind of sees how that ladders up, right? And it's creating a good connectivity across all the various roles of what we're doing.
Mhm.
I think that's also really key when it comes time to like quantifying ROI and being able to articulate value. We have to know what problem we are solving. All right, so we have a question here about the framework that you all shared. And the question is about, does this framework encompass all lines of business across your organization, across the bank, wealth, commercial, et cetera?
Absolutely. So we are an enterprise CX team and we support all lines of business, all the different verticals. And so we're very committed to working with everyone. And Deepta talked about that right at the start of annual planning. We interlock our strategies. We meet with all of the lines of business to deeply understand what business problems they're solving for, what their aspirations are, their goals, their KPIs, their large scale initiatives, and we lock in. So we set the stage for our CX team to be in service of that agenda and those objectives. And that's what we talked about earlier about parking egos, right? We are here in service of them. The data and insights that we have and we're able to extract goes back to the business so that they can optimize how they interact with clients and how they deliver better products and services. And so, yes, the framework is embedded. It is in the absolute sense, like strict sense of governance, it is embedded. Initiatives won't get funded if CX isn't at the table and doesn't sit down and critically evaluate the client experience, the level of risk. And so we're on the journey with them right from the beginning. And that's what I think really leads to the successful outcomes of our client-facing initiatives.
Stephanie, it's such a powerful statement to say that investment decisions won't get made without CX understanding, right? Now, that does not mean that every single decision all the time is 100% always exactly what the customer wants. I have to imagine, but we understand where there might be risks in the process. We're making decisions eyes wide open and understand the impact and make sure that overall our strategies are connected and we appear that we appear that we're always consistent to that brand promise we want to put forward. I think that's an important distinction because it doesn't mean that you all don't sometimes see things that not every customer may love, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
And then certainly too, your approach has to perhaps vary a little bit. The analysis you vary, the analysis may vary. The way you go about doing your listening may be a little bit different B2B for the B2B side of your business on the commercial banking side versus consumer side. So nonetheless, though, I think the important thing is consistency across the enterprise when it comes to governance.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Judy. Everything is fit for purpose. It's never a one size fits all. And even our level of engagement will ebb and flow from light touch consulting right through very hands on granular design support and dress rehearsals and evaluating operation readiness. So it is fit for purpose.
Great. And speaking of design, we have a question here about how do you bring human-centered design into the process? Perhaps you could elaborate a little bit more.
Sure. So we have a CX design team. And again, they partner with the business right from the beginning, starting with let's understand the current state. So we use an AI powered and insights driven journey mapping capability that we've just brought in and are very proud of. And it's really helped to reduce the effort and augment how we're illustrating the client journey, those moments of truth, the pain points. And that really helps to uncover the current state and then shape the design. So what should future state look like? And so not only are we at the table looking at just the client view, but we'll partner across the organization with the process engineering team, process optimization, the service design team, UI UX designers in the digital space. And we'll make sure that we actually do see that 360 view so that we're building the best experience for the frontline teams as well as the client, but that we truly understand the data, the system interactions, and so on. So again, for those really large scale initiatives, this is a very robust and highly committed process where we're all at the table, and we'll do walk the walls with executives. Executives will roll up their sleeves and walk the walls physically with us in rooms where we're looking at all of those moments of truth and pain points, and we're making informed decisions on trade-offs, on opportunities. And it's a really fun experience. It's a lot of work, but I really think it lends itself to the best outcomes.
That's great, Stephanie. We have a couple of questions here I'd like to pivot to next that get into perhaps some of the more nuances of your program and how it's designed. There's a question here specifically about your CX index. It reads, how do you monitor a comprehensive CX index and look to bring that to summarize all your different moments of truth that you're measuring? So how do you aggregate that up?
I can take this one. And so we do have a comprehensive CX index, and it really starts with those strategic conversations with each line of business that Stephanie was talking about, really getting to understand strategically what is the priority and what is the focus for your line of business. And from there is when we start to identify what are the metrics that we're going to be tracking for that line of business. And so we do that across the organization to really understand from a customer experience standpoint, what's the most important. And so we have a whole team that kind of focuses on these metrics throughout the year. We revisit them on a quarterly basis. That's part of what we do with our CX forums with our executives across the organization. And it really keeps us honest as to whether or not we're tracking towards the goals that we've set for ourselves.
That's fantastic. Deepta, also sort of building on that and how you set up the structure of the program. We have a question here, no surprise, about low survey response rates, particularly on the B2B side of the business. But truly, I think any CX practitioner can appreciate this challenge. So there's a question about how do you overcome or handle low survey response rates?
So it's always a challenge, whether it's personal or business. But what I can say is that at CIBC, we're very focused on our relationships with our clients. And because it's not only is it a strategic priority, it's how we do business with our business clients. So I would say that we have the luxury or the wonderful position to be in terms of our clients are quite engaged. And so we actually do receive quite a lot of feedback from our business clients because of the relationships that we build with them. And it's part of our business model. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I might add too, I mean, you all listen quite broadly. Solicited feedback, unsolicited feedback, conversational intelligence. For CX programs that really are quite survey centric, looking at your design is so incredibly important. When are we surveying? How are we surveying? Is it in the channel that experience took place in? These design decisions can make a big difference. And then to the ability that we have to go beyond surveys, right? That just helps make sure we're listening holistically and have a good, robust understanding of what's happening when our clients don't choose to respond, right? There can be more there. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Judy. I think one of the wonderful things about our survey programs when it comes to B2B is that we do follow up with our clients, right? That's part of the closed loop system that we use with the Medallia platform. And what we hear from our frontline is that they actually really love using the closed loop portion of the platform because it helps them engage with clients. It unearths issues when they happen, and it helps them address them very quickly. And so I think that's part of the engagement and the relationship management is we're actually using these tools to help us engage with our clients in a different way that we wouldn't be able to without the closed loop formal system in place.
Yeah, Deepta, I'm so glad you mentioned following up and acting on feedback. Obviously, when you can do it on a one-to-one basis, that's
Mhm.
incredible, of course. But also making sure that we're aggregating it to drive that continuous improvement, so that that
Yes,
client doesn't have to tell you about that same issue again, right?
that's right.
And then making sure that we're communicating out, "Hey, we heard this, we've changed this," as an example.
Mhm.
I've seen blogs, I've seen it on IVR hold music, I've seen it in social posts. There are so many different ways to do that. Side note, there was some Medallia research recently about the impact of following up. And off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact percent, but a really substantial, like I want to say it was like 75%. It was a really big number. Clients don't ever remember getting follow-up after delivering surveys, after giving survey feedback. So if you do follow up, it's an incredible way to make an impression and really differentiate yourself. I'm not sure I remember the exact number, but it was quite a high. It was a shockingly high number to me. That's in the generational research report that Medallia just published. Fantastic. All right, moving right along. So we have a question here about how you all provide the executive team with CX results.
Oh, I can take that one, Deepta, if you'd like.
Mhm.
The answer is many different ways. They are actively engaged. So those senior leadership forums that Deepta talked about includes the executives. The CX index also impacts the executives, right? So from frontline right through to the executive, the CX index is impacts all of us. And so they'll receive regular monthly performance index results, as you can expect, but they're engaged actively. So we've got quarterly forums where we're meeting with all of them. We'll often meet with the board as well. So our senior executive CX leader will present to the board multiple times a year. And the board is very actively involved in CX as well in our agenda. So it is very organic. There is absolute formal reporting structure, but there's a more organic process as well, and many senior executive forums by which we discuss it. And again, it's not just our CX team as a survey shop where we're producing results in the CX index. It is bi-directional conversation. It is leaders of the various groups that are speaking to their results, both in terms of the tailwinds, the headwinds, what drove positive results, if there are challenges, what the go to green plan is. It is very bi-directional and everybody is actively engaged.
That's amazing, Stephanie. I love hearing that. I think I'd also like to talk a little bit about the change management required here, right? Because we're talking about significant ongoing evolutions to your programs. Processes have changed. Business owners have to go through new processes now versus what they used to be, anyways, to get funding. How do you all deal with resistance to change internally?
Yeah, Judy, this one is critically important. I would say the change management capabilities are also a key enabler. In fact, earlier last year, we partnered with Medallia to build a people change management governance training and playbook for our entire CX team. So it was so important, our roles as change champions, as change navigators, in order to embed whatever change from a CX perspective across the organization, that we wanted to make sure we armed our team with the right skills, the capabilities, and a playbook so that it reduced effort while maximizing consistency and impact. And so we had a multi-day training for our entire CX team so that as we are working with our partners, introducing new concepts, new recommendations for CX improvements, especially those that are systemic in nature or impact a lot of different channels where we know improving would drive a ton of results and a lot of client satisfaction. We leverage these change management capabilities and work with our partners and talk about roles and responsibilities and RACEs and who's on point for what. And we get that buy-in right out of the gates, making sure we've got a buyer. So the sponsor of any CX improvement isn't the CX team. It's one of the key operational executives who's got the most skin in the game. And that's really how we're able to drive momentum.
That's amazing. I think too the importance of CX sponsorship. You both as business leaders, right? But the full C-suite, executive suite on down, right, has empowered you all to bring forward, create, develop, and really reinforce these CX playbooks that you all roll up. All right, great. Well, as we look to wrap up here, thank you, ladies, for joining me. I know I've really enjoyed this session and would love to wish everybody on the call a happy CX Day. Stephanie, Deepta, thank you so much for sharing your journey and practical advice. I know what stood out to me was how intentional your teams are with embedding a CX and really not just the measurement of customer experience, but truly integrating it in the decision making at the bank and how we go about influencing future investment decisions and really becoming proactive in nature. An incredible transformation that you all have been on. Thank you so much for sharing it. We saw in the first poll that that insights to action is the number one priority for all on this webinar today. And truly, turning insights into action isn't just a CX goal, right? It becomes a business imperative, as you have showed us. So, starting with alignment, speaking the language of outcomes, staying client obsessed. These are great ways to bringing that to life. So, to our audience, thank you all for participating in your questions today. I hope you enjoyed the dialogue and discussion. Don't forget to visit us at medallia.com / experience. That's medallia.com/experience to learn more about our conference event and use the code CXLove to get your special CX Day offer. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Be well, and we'll see you soon.